Hello, and it's really good to have your company for this It's Learning Thursday webinar. I must apologise in advance that I have builders moved in next door this week, and it's absolutely inconceivable apparently that they can stop drilling and hammering for this hour, so I do hope the noise doesn't interfere with the webinar too much. My name is Ella Coles and I'm a pedagogical consultant with It's Learning, which means I work with schools, colleges and training providers to help them develop their learning platform and get the most out of It's Learning. As usual, the recording will be available for any of your colleagues to catch up with on our website, so please do remind them about it. Just go to itslearning.com/UK. Click on About and then on Resources. If you then scroll down and click Refine by Webinar, you'll see the It's Learning Thursday webinars. For those of you who are watching this webinar from outside the UK, a warm welcome to you. If you have any questions arising from the webinar, please address them to your own national consultants who will be happy to help. I'm going to use a variety of sites to demonstrate what I'm telling you about today. The original It's Learning with the left-hand navigation panel, and also the new It's Learning with the menus along the top. If your organisation hasn't yet switched to the new It's Learning, don't worry. Most things that I'm showing you today can be done in both versions, and I'll point out any differences as we go. The transition from primary to secondary is a massive change for learners, but of course it's not the only one. The same thing will be experienced by any young person moving from one institution to another at any time of their life, including the equally daunting leap from secondary to further or higher education or training course. In today's webinar, we'll look at how you can use the It's Learning platform to help you plan and deliver the support you offer, how it can facilitate collaboration between staff in a variety of schools and colleges, particularly where time and geography can be serious obstacles to effective liaison. We'll also cover using your It's Learning platform to create a one-stop shop for information and communication with all your stakeholders, and to help young people become familiar with their new surroundings and the people they'll be meeting. Of course, it's not just the learners who may be new to your school, college or training centre. New members of staff will also need support when they join your organisation. And as we'll see in a moment, parents need to be kept informed as well. In 2008, the Institute of Education of the University of London published a report for the DCFF, now the DFE. They examined the impact of primary-secondary translation on the ability of young people to thrive and succeed in their education. The results made interesting reading and have helped schools to improve the way they manage this important move. Good liaison and support by both phases was key to learners' confidence and ability to cope with big changes. The children surveyed made recommendations for how future cohorts could make the transition more easily. A lot of those recommendations were based on having plenty of information in advance. Parents were also interviewed and gave recommendations for both the feeder primaries and the secondary schools on how they could improve the way they supported their children. Changing the way that Year 6 learners were taught and the expectations made of them was highlighted as a way of preparing them for life in the big school, to soften the shock of change. Giving them the skills they would need in secondary came up time and time again, including the use of technology to prepare for the systems that they would meet in secondary school. This included being responsible for and remembering their user logins and security of those credentials, but also being able to use the same systems in primary preferably as the secondary school, or at least having early access to them was recommended. Increased opportunity to visit the secondary school and start building relationships with staff and students was high on all the results. And a lot of these recommendations were around communication, giving information and supporting pupils to make new friends. Most schools will now not leave things to luck, but will liaise extensively with their partner schools. The sharing of documents can be made much easier if everyone knows that they're on itslearning, where they can get to them 24/7 from wherever they are. Whether you create a specific course to save all the documentation, or just add a transition folder to your virtual staff room course, for example, as here, everyone will know where to find things. Set up itslearning accounts for your partner schools' liaison coordinators and other external agents so that they can easily access the areas you want them to see without having to play ping pong with updated documents and getting confused over which is the most up-to-date version when you're using email attachments. If you share an itslearning site with other schools in your local authority or federation, you'll be able to add them as participants to the course they need to see straight away. Involve your IT team, your itslearning administrator, e-learning coordinator in the planning as early as possible. Think about how you're going to provide information for students. It needn't require the decimation of a forest. You can deliver a lot of your induction training and information online in itslearning, particularly where your learners will have their own device to access the platform. Schools and colleges have saved a fortune in printing costs just by making sure that induction packs, student guides, staff handbooks, etc. are available as PDFs to consult or download from itslearning. Make sure that new students and staff have logins to itslearning from the first day of term, or earlier if you're doing transition activities via the VLE. Factor in the upskilling of new students and staff to use itslearning as part of their induction, so that they're able to fully integrate with school or college life from the very beginning. And make sure this is all documented so that everybody knows exactly how it's going to be delivered. Most secondary schools will organise at least one visit for their new Year 7s during the summer term. But from the report that we saw earlier, this is often not enough for pupils to feel familiar with their new school. How can you keep the momentum going until September? One of the most successful ways is to create a course that your new cohort can access, either with their new itslearning logins, see the point in early planning. Here you can include things like pictures and an introduction to staff so that they're familiar with them when they arrive at school. A virtual 3D presentation or video of the school, if you have one, or photos of all the main areas will help them to orientate themselves when they arrive. Timetables for induction day activities mean less apprehension on their first visit because they know what will be happening. Create a discussion forum for your new learners to ask questions and have older pupils reply. This starts to build relationships and reassures the younger pupils that they're not going to be teased or bullied as soon as they arrive. This is also a good exercise for learners of any age, not just for those asking, but also for those replying to questions, as it gets them to empathise and be aware of the positive or negative impact they can have on younger pupils arriving new in the school or moving up a year. Maybe set up a school or college-specific tutorial page to support learners in the way your organisation uses itslearning. Information that new students can access whenever they need to is vital, particularly for a college or training provider, where sheer numbers make it difficult to communicate with everyone one-to-one. A well thought out welcome and induction information helps to make the new students feel part of the community. The learners may not spend all their time in the physical site. Being able to refer to information remotely is key. Make sure all your students download the itslearning app so that they can easily keep up to date and receive messages and assignments when they're out of college or in the workplace. This college has a fantastic group dashboard with loads of information organised in embedded Microsoft Sway presentations. Just to give you a feel for how that works. This is a great way of attractively presenting masses of information in the same place, easily accessible to your new students. However you organise your information, make sure you include details of where the student can get support, whether it be with functional skills, disability, pastoral or personal problems, or practical advice. You could also share your expectations of the students. Here we can see an example of Office Online within itslearning. This means that users can see and work with embedded Word, Excel and PowerPoint documents within itslearning itself without having to have Office installed on their device. At the moment, only some schools and colleges have this as a pilot version, but it will soon be rolled out to all customers as an additional free service. If you're already a pilot customer with Office Online, you could create a new Office document within your transition or induction course to collaborate with colleagues on documents and then share these with your students. Here's a quick video just to show you how that would work.
Hello, my name is Henning Ellesvik. I'm a product manager at itslearning, and today I'm going to show you some nice enhancements that comes with our latest update to Office Online. Office Online gives you the ability to work on Office documents, that is PowerPoint, Excel, and Word for the moment. You can work on them inside itslearning without having the desktop version installed on your computer. Files are stored inside itslearning, that is in the cloud, so they're completely safe. You can access them from your favorite device. What I'm going to show you now is two teachers collaborating on a document. I'm logged in as teacher number 1, and I'm going to create a Word document. Tomorrow we're taking the kids to the libraries, so we need an agenda for that. So let's call it document library visit. And insert the table. Agenda is the time and start. So let's see. As you can see, the Word has opened inside itslearning. This is not my desktop version running. So I want to set some permissions on this document so that the kids can't see it before it's ready. So I'm allowing only me and my colleague to see. I'm now going to log out, and in comes teacher number 2. You can see the document I just created. It opens in view mode. I click edit and start to add the content. I'm with the bus and then so we have a guided tour and say 12 lunch. So you get the concept. Now I'm going to log out as teacher number 2 and in as teacher number 1. Here is the document we just worked on, and I can see her changes to the document. Okay, now I want the kids to see. So I'm going to take away the permissions we set when we started working on it and log in as one of the kids. Pupil number 1, Here is the document. It opens in read-only mode, and you can see the agenda. Simple as that. Hope you enjoy this, and please try it out. It's going to come out in production to all customers. For the moment, it's in a pilot for selected customers. So stay tuned. Okay, have a nice day.
I hope that gives you an idea of just how easy it is to use the new Office Online documents that will be coming shortly for collaborating with your colleagues and your sort of partner schools, even over sort of large distances, and not having to keep emailing things backwards and forwards. However you set out your guidelines or expectations, here in a note or as a series of activities, your students will be left in no doubt about what is expected of them. You'll probably want to involve your new intake in some activities to introduce them to their new courses, perhaps as a practical activity for an induction visit, accessed on tablets or on the student's own device, or as template worksheets to complete and print out. Even a fun quiz just to get them used to the members of their new department. These activities can be shared across departments, saving on workload, created once and shared by everyone. Or your school might, school or college may prefer to have an induction module for each course rather than a separate course. So pages, files, links and assignments can be created and shared in the itslearning library for teachers to download into their own courses. If you're on a multi-school or college itslearning site, you could share resources across all the establishments on your site. Here's an example of a very proactive local authority providing support for teachers involved in transition activities. All of the things I've talked about can also be applied to the induction of new teachers to your school, college or training centre. Any mandatory training that they need to complete before they start could be developed in itslearning, allowing them to access it in their own time and at their own pace before they start. If you need to introduce new staff to itslearning and bring them up to speed on how to use the VLE, we're about to release the first level of our accreditation programme. Teachers will be able to work through 10 short video tutorials, each with a follow-up task to complete in their own itslearning site. They then mark completion of each video so that the mentors or managers in their school or college can monitor progress. On completion of a level, a certificate will be provided for their professional development portfolio. It's free of charge, so if you would like to use the accreditation programme with your teachers as part of their induction, please contact me. My contact details will be given at the end of this webinar. As well as the usual staff information, it's useful to have guides to the use of equipment that you have in schools, what resources there are, how to book them. And lastly, but not least, your itslearning platform is a great way of keeping parents informed about the whole transition process. If your school has given parents access to your itslearning parent dashboard, you can make sure that they know that all the information they need can be found there. Here's the parent dashboard for a primary school with an image link through to extra documentation and information. For all the documentation involved, you can save on printing costs and avoid lost in the bottom of Amy's bag syndrome by creating a course in itslearning, adding your parents as participants and linking to the course from your parent dashboard. For those of you who are not yet using this, the parent dashboard is included free of charge in your itslearning platform, as are the parent accounts. I've mentioned some new features which will be coming over the summer for itslearning schools and colleges. While we try to ensure that all users can benefit from these improvements, some of these exciting developments are only possible to include in the more advanced web technology that the new itslearning is built on. Perhaps this summer is also the time for your school, college or training centre to transition to the new itslearning. If you'd like to know more about moving across, please contact your account manager or email me at the address at the end of this webinar. Also watch out for next month's webinar, which will give you more detail of all the new features coming over the summer. If you've used itslearning to support transition and induction in your organisation, we'd love to hear about it. Just tweet us at itslearninguk, #LearningThursdays, or drop me an email. Thanks again, and I'll leave you with my contact details if you have any questions. Until next time, bye-bye.